Live right now. Good evening, folks. Thanks for coming in. Another day closer to Christmas. I'm going to say that with every show that I do. The countdown's on because it starts with the 1st of December. Well, for us, it started for Guy Fawkes. Day after Guy Fawkes, we actually started the countdown. I decorated the house.
Well, you did.
I did. Sarah just sat and moaned at how much it cost to do, you know, and I kept adding lights and adding more lights, and then you got all the lights up and you think, I need more lights, you know. The film deck the halls, basically. I'm actually wanting more, but shh, don't tell her. But anyway, tonight, as you see, that stranger on the panel, not been on for, I don't know, long time. Sarah's with us.
5 months.
About 5 months, so, you know, I know she keeps disappearing, but it's to do with the backdrop, you know, there you go. She is here, she has got a head. Thing. And we are joined tonight by two very, very good friends of ours, CRA founders, Mr. David Espinosa and Mr. Craig Arhens, who you've seen quite a few times before, but it's always great to have them back. So good evening, gentlemen, or good afternoon, I should say. Yes. How are we?
Fantastic.
Terrific.
You're looking,
nice
you're looking very tanned, and we look kind of pale yellow, kind of.
you know,
are starting to fade.
You said something interesting a minute ago. I was listening to you talking about putting up the lights and doing all of that stuff right now. And, you know, lights, you can't have enough. I totally agree with what you said. You can't have enough. And interestingly, because I know you're making films, what's the first thing they say when they're getting ready to shoot a film? Lights, camera, action. I mean, that's how important lights are.
I'm on board with that. My young friend, 100% on board. You see, there's the man himself saying it. So disagree with David. Go on, I dare you.
Lights when you're filming are okay, but lights in the house, there's about 1 million lights in here.
No, there's quite a few.
How many lights have you got up, Scott?
3,500 lights up, but shh, don't tell anybody.
It's good not to be left in the dark.
We're certainly not like that, my friend. We're certainly not like that. It's not going to happen. That's never going to happen. But tonight, folks, we were joined with these two gentlemen, and just before we went live, David came up with an excellent idea. And so usually I'll interview the guest or chat to them, but tonight we're turning the table around the other way. So the interviewers become the interviewees. Is that right?
Yes.
Did I say that right?
I think so.
Yes.
I think there's a
interviewer, and you're the interviewee.
And I'm the interviewee. But before we get to that, what have you guys been up to? Let's have a quick recap what CRA's been up to.
Craig, what you been up to?
Well, getting ready for Christmas. As we were talking before, we went live. We just got through Thanksgiving here in the States. And right now it's been getting ready for the holiday Christmas, mostly on my end here.
Well, he left out an important thing. He's become a grandpa, a triple grandpa going on here. He's got grandkids just coming out all over the place. Well, they're busy. They're busy in the Arhens family.
Yeah, it's and we're still trying to piece it together, like what's been causing this. We have a lot of theories, but we just haven't quite figured it out yet. I just know I'm not contributing, so I'm off the list. So
that's good
I don't know.
I'm glad to hear that. On that
I'm glad to hear as well that you're not responsible.
Yeah.
Congratulations, young man. You know, but as David says, you get, you know,
yeah, it's like
kids
the coolest thing ever.
You know, every time you turn around, there's another one there. You know, a fresh one. You know, so but no, they are, and they do bring a lot of joy to you. A lot of expense, but a lot of joy.
I have 4 grandchildren. I love them to death. I have 2 here in my household right now today. Apollo, and Sweetie Pie. I call her Sweetie Pie. Her name's Avalon. But my two grandchildren, I love them to death. Absolutely right. It's a blessing. But anyway, I'm always fascinated by people who want to make movies. My first question always is why. I know I've been fascinated since I was a kid with movies and making movies. And I was just totally put aside, blown away, I'll be honest about it, when you came up with the idea of making a film about William Wallace and his trail, where he went, what he did, and the places he was at, and kind of give those insights. And I was like, okay. And when you told me this, Greg and I both were like, oh, that's a great idea. I didn't think twice about, does he know what he's doing? Does he know how to make a movie? Does he have a camera? I just figured, all right, cool, he's going to make a movie.
Yeah.
It was. What gave us the idea was we tried it. We've been running for about 4 years, 4.5 years now, and about 3 years ago we tried it, put together. We called it Darkest Mile, and it was just about different parts of Edinburgh's Royal Mile that people really don't know about. You know, they walk by it day in, day out. They don't realise the history to these. It could be an alleyway, or gold bricks in the ground, sort of thing. People see them every day, and they just they look at it, walk away, but they don't realise. So we tried putting a documentary together to highlight these, but it didn't really work out. Did it?
No.
We put it together, and then we watched it back and talk. I'll be honest with you, we thought that's crap.
You say you put together. What'd you do? Did you take a camera out there, shoot these sites, write script? What did you do? We done a lot in Edinburgh prior to that, so we had a fairly good knowledge of the different locations up and down the mile. So Sarah and I, at the time, we just picked out, I think it was about a dozen different locations that aren't very well known. And we wrote out, but there was quite a few in the team at that time. So we wrote out, we researched some of the history to these places, and we wrote rough scripts for everybody. So the idea was that everybody in the team would do a little segment on each, everybody take a spot each kind of thing. So see, we did the research, wrote a sort of rough script of it we wanted them to say, and then we filmed it on it was our phones, wasn't it?
No, I think it was a proper camera back then.
I'm sorry, it was a video camera. We still got the video cameras, but we used video cameras back then, and we could just kind of put it together that way. To be honest, we did not have a clue what we were doing. We'd never done it before, but we thought, you know what? Let's try it and see what happens. What's the worst thing that can happen?
Yeah.
Is that it falls through, it looks rubbish, which it did. So that, and then when we got in touch with the Society of William Wallace, we had them on the show, and we became quite friendly with them. And they asked us to cover some of their events as doing it as lives, like the Battle of Loudon Hill, the Wallace Hulk unveiling, things like that. It says you want to come along and do it as a live to show everybody what we're doing. And then I just came up with the idea. Well, I'd watched the film Braveheart many, many times.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And it's a great film. Yeah. I love it. I think it's a fantastic film. It's not 100% accurate, which, a lot of films aren't, but I thought, well, Braveheart only tells the sort of rough story of Wallace, where he was born, how he fell out with the English, basically, some of the battles, how he was captured, that sort of thing. I thought, but this guy did so much more. So I went to the society, I spoke to Sarah, obviously, and Laura as well, and I said to the society, look, I've got an idea. Is it possible for us to film different parts of the location that people don't know about and maybe put it together and a sort of documentary sort of thing.
I think to start with, it was meant to be a 60-minute long documentary covering all the places. But then obviously we thought, well, nobody's really going to sit and watch 60 minutes of just pure history getting chucked at them. So that's why we split it up into the locations as different parts rather than just one big...
Just jumping back to the Darkest Mile, Laura says, don't forget everybody's asked to memorise their part. No one done it apart from me, because I'm fantastic. That's Laura. We asked everybody to memorise a short script for Darkest Mile, but nobody bothered doing it. So I turned up on this day in Edinburgh, and nobody had a clue what they were saying. So there were a lot of them were improvising.
So let me get this straight. You came up with an idea, and then you wrote a short script. You got actors together, and obviously your partner here is a talented editor who's looking at this thing and deciding what goes where. And then you just went out and started doing.
Basically, yeah.
Pretty much.
Where'd you come up with the dialogue?
Up here. Just
Wow.
basically.
So what?
Bits and pieces were in for what we'd researched. We took wee bits and pieces of information and turned them round a bit, because of copyright and etc. But the majority was we just wrote it for up here, basically.
The movie and how the story. What you're doing is filling in between what really went on in sort of the movie. Spots, incidences, things that took place, experiences in his travels. That's not in the movie.
Yeah. A couple of things in the movie we are going to feature. We've already did like the Battle of Stirling Bridge, which is featured in the actual movie.
Right.
Because these were kind of big turning points in Wallace's life, so we felt we had to include them. So as a couple of big events are in there, are going to be in there as well. But about 90% of it is locations that people don't know about, or they'll pass by and they don't have a clue what it could be. I'll get an example. It's called the Bell of the Bray. I'm from Glasgow, and the Bell of the Bray is a monument that sits in the necropolis, which is a massive cemetery in the middle of Glasgow. And I've been there many, many times. And I passed by this monument, don't know how many times, but I never thought anything of it. And it wasn't until we started working with the society that they told us this is where Wallace's first kind of battle took place. When he first fell out with the English. There used to be a castle nearby, and Wallace killed the sheriff and took over the castle. And that was in Glasgow, and it was something that I knew nothing about. So that kind of gave us the idea as well. So, well, if the Bell of the Bray is there, how many other locations is there that people don't have a clue about? So that's the whole aim of the thing. We're trying to, bring together different. Each episode is going to feature a different town. Because we've done Stirling, we've done Glasgow, Lanark as well. Today we're in Falkirk filming several parts of Falkirk. So each episode is going to feature a different town. And the plan is next year to wind it up in London, where he was executed in 1305. That'll be the final episode kind of thing.
Yeah. Now I know William Wallace is important historically, but as a theme, as to his importance as a person and as a character, and what he did, what he stands for, what kind of theme do you think runs through all this?
I think it's my view. The theme is running through it is he was just a commoner. He wasn't born into royalty or anything like that. He was just he was the son of a farmer from Paisley, Elderslie, which is a part of Paisley near Glasgow. And the sort of idea of the theme I've got is that he was just a commoner. He came from nothing. He just wanted a normal life. But back then, circumstances didn't allow it. And he was very, very passionate about his country. And the story goes that he gets secretly married and the English murdered his wife to tempt him to fight. And that's what started him going to war against the English. He loved his country. He was a true patriot, and he wanted his country to be free. So he basically came from nothing. And this is a fascinating thing I find about Wallace, because as I say, he came from nothing, but he was one man who led a nation.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think he was more bent on revenge or on freedom, which is the theme that they ran on with the movie and how they look at him historically? But if his wife had never been murdered, would he have still been the same guy?
That's a good question, actually, because it did start off as revenge. You know, he wanted to avenge the wife of his death, the death of his wife, and then I think after he's seen the following and how passionate the Scottish people were on what he was doing, and he really did want independence. So it's actually, what would have happened if his wife hadn't been, murdered?
Right.
That's a good question, actually. I dare say he would, because he was a very passionate man about his country and where he came from. And at the time, Edward I was just wanting to wipe out Scotland. He didn't, he wanted he wanted the land. But he didn't want the people where. So I hope that makes sense.
Well, it's strange. Things mold us, create us. Take, for example, someone who's lived a very affluent life. They may not have a whole lot of aspirations as opposed to Wallace, who grew up a commoner in poverty, basically. And as a result of the injustice he experienced, he goes on as a crusader of justice and freedom, a liberator of the Scots people, and boom. Historically now, he's embedded into everybody's mind, thanks to Mel Gibson.
I do love the film Braveheart. There's quite a few films been made about Wallace and Robert the Bruce, and say Braveheart. It's not 100% accurate. Everybody will tell you that. But obviously, Hollywood need to stick certain bits in to. I don't know. You guys will know what it's called, to sort of beef it up a wee bit. To what?
Dramatise it.
To dramatise it, to beef it up a bit,
Poetic license.
So there is things that, like I say, in Braveheart, he sleeps with the Princess of Wales. Well, in real life, that never happened.
Seldom ever happens. That's for sure.
So, Scott, I have a question for you guys. When you going into this, what sort of discoveries did you make? I'm sure you both had a lot of knowledge about William Wallace, but what discoveries did you make about through your research that you did not know before you started this project?
There's been quite a few, like even not directly about him, but in Stirling, which was the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, we done the bridge, and I always thought that was the original bridge. Turns out it wasn't. Turns out it's not even the site of the battle. That's at the now rugby club. But I never knew that before we started. I just thought Battle Stirling Bridge. Obviously, you see the bridge now, you think, right, that must have been where the battle took place, the fields next to it, but not, it was slightly over. So that kind of fascinated me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, we had a certain, you know, as you say, we knew a certain amount about Wallace himself and what he, you know, what he did, what have you. And I must say, the biggest surprise to me was the locations, because I said to the society to ask them to come up with locations. I don't know, 2 or 3 in mind, but they started suggesting all these places, and once I looked at them, as Sarah saying about Stirling Rugby Club. I'll get it right eventually.
And this is why you're not doing the narration.
That's why I don't do the narration, because I can't. You know, okay, it's because I'm Glaswegian. Glaswegians cannot speak. You know, they speak in their own dialect, shall we say?
Well,
I would take the Battle of Stirling Bridge, as Sarah said, the bridge that's there isn't the original one. You can still see parts of the original one when the river was low enough. But when we found out that it took place on a rugby pitch, so I approached the rugby club and I explained what we were doing. And I said, can we film here? And the guy said, you know, yep, no bother. And so the day of the filming, I went and spoke to the guy, and the guy says, listen, we're here every single weekend. The guys are here doing their stuff. We'd no idea that we're actually running and standing on where the actual battle took place. Because the story was that Wallace's men more or less herded the English across the original bridge, and when they had enough across, one of Wallace's men was underneath the bridge, and he knocked away the supports, so it cut the English off. So they were basically trapped on this bit of land, which is now the bridge, and they were just slaughtered basically. The English had nowhere to run, and the Scottish, everybody, you know, and it was. So this guy was totally astounded by their rugby pitches where hundreds of Englishmen actually died. You know, and the biggest thing for us doing it was the locations.
Yeah.
Especially when it came to Glasgow, because most of the parts of Glasgow that we filmed in, I passed numerous times, and I did not have a clue that they were connected to Wallace. You know yourself, you probably have them, you see monuments or statues, you're driving by and it'll catch the side of your eye, you know, and you'll have a wee look and you think, oh, that, you know, that's nice, and you keep going. But you don't have a clue what it means.
Let me ask you, do you sometimes feel an energy, a spiritual essence in these places? Excuse me 1 minute.
I'll answer that one. Once he comes back. So we'll just talk amongst ourselves till David comes back. I know why I answer the question, and he misses it, you know.
But no, I think it's definitely
that was interesting what you said about the rugby. You know, that some of these sites that you had.
He's back.
Everything okay?
I'm back.
Well, we're just waiting. You coming back? Craig was saying it was interested with the rugby. I was fascinated, and the guy that runs the whole club kind of thing. He was gobsmacked that it actually took place there. But when you go to these sites, as you asked David, do you feel something? Some of the sites you do, there's a kind of atmosphere there. It's hard. It's one of these situations. I think you need to go there and feel it for yourself. Yeah. You know, like say the Battle of Bannockburn with the battlefield. You go to the battlefield there, you know what's happened. You know, Culloden as well, up at Inverness. You go to these places and there is a certain type of atmosphere, whether it's paranormal or whatever, but you do sense it when you walk on that, you know, thousands of men died here, or this is where, you know, somebody was buried here. You do sense a kind of atmosphere in some of the locations. And so it's going to sound stupid, but when you're standing at some of these locations, you try and cast your mind back to what it was like. Like, see, the first location we did today, Gordon and David from the Society, they were telling me what it would have been like back in Wallace's day. Obviously, there's houses and all that there. That was all trees there, no houses, nothing. And you could see from it, you could literally see Stirling, the monument. You see Stirling from where they were standing. This is where they stood. And you put yourself in that mind frame. It's the same as when you stand up at, when we did the Wallace Monument, that was quite surreal, because where the monument stands is where Wallace and de Moray stood the night before the Battle of Stirling Bridge, and they planned out the battle. They planned out how they were going to fight the English. And so when you're standing there in the same spot that William Wallace stood, and you're looking down on the rugby park, basically, but you're looking down to the kind of same kind of view as they would have had. That's quite a feeling. You know that Wallace, he stood here and he says, right, we'll take them for there, we'll herd them into there, and we'll slaughter them, basically. And that was it, game over. But you do get a feel. As I say, you need to go there to sort of experience the feeling. It's hard to describe. It definitely has a feeling in quite a lot of the locations.
I've always thought that places have the energy of people. Or I've heard you got to be one of the most haunted places on the planet. I mean,
Scotland is. I mean, Scotland's seen its fair share of bloodshed down through the centuries. You know, not just with Wallace, but the Jacobites over here as well, with Battle of Culloden. And, you know, you're talking thousands and thousands of men and women, you know, children all lost their lives one way or another here.
But I think with Scotland as well, I think there's 520 castles in total. Something, there's a fair amount of castles, and Scotland's not massive. It would fit in America times, I don't know.
Put it this way, the UK could fit inside the state of Oregon.
Wow.
So Scotland's not that, and it's got 520 castles. So back then, when all the castles were functioning castles, it would have just been castles and land. So the amount of battles and whatever else that took place.
That's why Edinburgh Castle has been the most fought over castle. Edinburgh Castle dates back to the 1100s.
Wow.
The first castle was built, and because it's built on top of a volcanic rock, down through the centuries, it swapped hands between the English and the Scottish so many times, because Edinburgh Castle was seen as, if you could take Edinburgh Castle, that you were supreme. You know, that was the jewel in the crown. Yeah. And because his position and the way it looked, it just looks really formidable. So that's the most fought over castle.
I think I've got a picture
Scottish
of
history.
it somewhere. I'll see if I can find it.
But seriously, Scotland's tiny. You can drive. We live in the West Coast. You can drive from here to the East Coast in about an hour. That's roughly. That's how, you know.
That's close.
1 hour.
1 hour.
In about an hour from here to Edinburgh, which is the east side of Scotland.
No wonder everybody was fighting.
So there's not. The thing is, you go north of, say, Perth, and there's nobody there. It's empty.
That's
There's no,
crazy.
between Perth and Inverness, it's 111 miles, and there's nothing between there. No houses, no people.
Nothing.
You know, Scotland's empty up north. Nobody wants to go there. I think Sarah's going to stick up a picture at Edinburgh Castle.
Wow.
Oh,
Nice.
wow.
So that's obviously the rock that it sits on top of. So it's quite.
Yeah.
It's pitched high above everything.
They're like the high. That's the highest point there. That building there's the highest point, I'm sure. So that just shows you how big it
Nice.
actually is.
Nice.
There's only
What
one.
year was that? What year was that?
Sorry, Craig.
You know?
What year?
What
was
year
it
was
built?
that built?
The original castle was built in the, I think it was 1121. It was the site of the original castle, and over the years it's been added to. And but the thing, the original castle was actually made of wood, and then just down through the centuries, it's been added to and added to. It's been fought over so many times, and then it was a royal residence up until the mid 1800s when it became a military barracks.
Is it haunted? There's
said to be three spirits, three well-known spirits. One is a drummer boy who wanders the ramparts. Nobody knows the origin, who he is, where he came from. Nobody knows his origin, but it has been reported quite a few times, been seen. Another ghost is, as you spoke, Sarah and Laura, so it's called the Dung Ghost, D-U-N-G. Dung is another name for poop, basically. You know?
Yeah.
You couldn't have thought of a better word.
I know poop. I know, you know what I mean, for crap, basically. But the story goes that it was one of the prisoners that were held in horrendous conditions, and in the cells, in the dungeons, there was a barrel in the corner that was a bath toilet, basically. And every so often the guards would come in, take the barrel away, and bring another one in. One of the prisoners had the ingenious idea of hiding in the barrel. But what he didn't know was when the guards took the barrel out, they just tipped it. There used to be a lock sat down the bottom of the rock. It's now Princess Street Gardens, but there was a lock there. They used to tip it into the lock. And so obviously they tipped the barrel, he goes with it. You know, so that's why he's called the Dung Ghost. The other reported ghost is Mary Douglas. Mary Douglas, her father was the stepdad of James I. And he kept James I imprisoned when James was a young child. No, James V, sorry. And so once James became king, he had a personal vendetta against the Douglas family. And he managed to capture Mary, who he accused of witchcraft. And also because there was no trial or nothing, because the king had brought these charges against her. So nobody was going to argue with the king. So she was accused of being a witch. She was also accused of treason, and she was burned at the bottom of the Esplanade, which is a sort of forecourt going up to the castle. The bottom of it is the spot where witches and that were executed. So she was burned there as a witch and a heretic. And she's still said to roam the castle.
And then there's the drummer boy or the piper that goes to the castle right under the mile.
There's a story that there's a tunnel goes from the castle. Back in the 1800s, it says that the workmen found a tunnel while renovating the castle. Nobody knew about this tunnel. They didn't know where it led, how deep it was. So there's two different stories. One, it was a boy with bagpipes. The other one is it was a drummer boy. But he volunteered to go down into the tunnel, and he started playing his instrument, and the people followed from the road above. About halfway down the mile, the drumming stopped, total silence. So they sent people down to look for him, and he'd vanished. There was no sign of him. He just vanished into thin air. It's still reported on quiet nights that you can hear the faint sound of, some people report drums, some people report bagpipes coming for that kind of area.
Interesting.
You know, so Edinburgh, we're actually going to redo the Darkest Mile next year. We're going to go and give it a second try. Obviously, we get more experience this time, so fingers crossed it should be a lot better than the original one was. And we'll get a better knowledge of Edinburgh now as well. So, but that's after we finish with our Wallace Trail.
So you've been making documentary series. Where are you with it now?
We're on episode 4.
This will be episode 4.
How is each
Sorry?
How is each episode different from the
I think the first episode, for instance, we've changed it a lot since then. Because the first episode with the intro, and then it was mostly all talking. And there was like pictures popping up at different places. The second episode we introduced music, that's right, isn't it?
Aye, the episode 2 was Glasgow, and what we decided to do was try and change it just a wee bit rather than stick to the same thing, you know, intro straight into talking. So that's when we videoed the Clyde, the River Clyde in Glasgow, in certain spots in Glasgow, and we put it together and we put music over it, and we put the running writing up with a bit of the history. So it gave people, I wanted to work it back the way, you know, people with history start for way back and they come up to present day. Well, I wanted to do it the other way around, so it took people from modern day Glasgow back the way to Wallace's time. So when it started, you were arriving in Wallace's time rather than starting. You ended up in Wallace's time, if that makes sense.
Yep.
Cool. So there was Lanark, and we added the music. We're really lucky that we've got Robin Keane on board. She's a Scottish folk singer, and she's done a lot of different songs. And you know, I approached her and says, "Can we use your music? You guys just use what you guys hear that?
Yeah, it's my gardener. Sorry.
Push your cat. I'm not a computer.
I have no control. None. He's gonna do it. That's it.
But we're trying
Nothing
to
you do about it.
I just tell me take a coffee break.
Yeah, he's done. He's good.
We just feel that if tweaking each episode, just try to make it a wee bit more different, just makes it a bit more interesting.
Right.
You know, and it's just giving people something different rather than, you know, it's going to be the same old thing. The intro, this guy's going to talk for 15, 20 minutes, and bang, that'll be the end of it. When we did the Stirling one, we featured some battle scenes for the Battle of Stirling Bridge with fighting, what do you call it?
Sound effects.
Sound effects over it, just to break it up a bit.
Nice.
So that's a kind of idea that we're going to each episode.
They know that it was their idea.
Yeah.
They know that it was their idea.
It was your idea, actually. Don't I feel that putts?
So how many more episodes are you
No, but that volume's quite low.
You're deaf, honestly.
My hearing sucks, by the way, guys. My hearing is, you know.
That's okay.
That's
okay. How many more episodes do you foresee?
Well, we're talking about that today. Probably about another 3 or 4. The next one is going to feature Edinburgh, and then Ayrshire, where we live. And then there's another couple, Perthshire as well, has got ties to Wallace. He's got ties. See, the problem is he's got ties everywhere. So you could go on and on and on. You know, even like the North England, Yorkshire areas like that, it's got ties to Wallace as well. But I think maybe another 3 or 4 before we wind it up. That's a kind of general plan in our head for now. Yeah. It could change next year. You know, we could add another 10 on maybe, you know.
I don't think so.
But the plan is for about another. We don't want to overdo it. We don't want to overkill it. You know, I think there's I think there's going to be a point where you say, right, you know, right, that's it. We've done enough. We'll leave that. You know, we'll wrap that up, and that's how we're going to wrap it up in London, where he was executed, basically. Because we don't want it to drag. Because people will get bored. People will get fed up. You know.
Yeah.
Especially this one. So I think there's a point where you say, right, you know, we've done that. We really enjoyed doing it. Because we've got other things up here in mind for doing next year. But I think it has to come a time to say, right, we've done it. It worked out okay. Let's move on to something different.
I think a tour of everybody. And talking about the ghost, maybe finding some people who experienced it before, you know, those apparitions, whatever. I think that'd be awesome.
That's what we're going to do. See, we are going to be doing Edinburgh. It's going to be more thorough this time. And see, there's tons and there's tons and tons of history in Edinburgh, especially in what they call the Old Town. That's a part of Edinburgh. The Flodden Wall used to sort of surround, basically. There's so much history, and you need to sort of sit and really get through it and pick out, you know, because every bit is significant.
Oh yeah. I'd hire an actor, dress him up to look like right. I'd have him out there flashing occasionally, getting back to the lights. Lighting, you know, make him look like he's an apparition. I think that'd be kind of cool.
Well, that's coming next year, and I'm looking forward to it because we do love Edinburgh. We've done a lot in Edinburgh for day one, basically, and I no doubt you guys get this, you know, where you put a movie together and then it goes into the editing process sort of thing, and there's a few head buttons and stuff like that, you know, a few arguments go on. I think I asked you guys before, have you ever fell out? Have you ever had major arguments?
We don't really fight.
Have we ever what?
Fell out.
Failed one?
Fell out. Have you ever had a big disagreement over something?
Oh yeah.
We'll have disagreements over content for sure. We're old guys. That's what we do.
We disagree with most shit.
Yeah. We're grumpy guys.
There's a really great play. Okay, it's about two old guys who used to be vaudevillians, and they hate each other now. After working together for 30 years, and somebody wants to bring them back, you know, like on the Ed Sullivan show, talk show, you know, they do one of their old skits. It's called The Sunshine Boys by Neil Simon.
Mm-hmm.
If you ever get a chance to see, these are two of the most disagreeable souls you've ever seen on the planet. but it's funny.
It's like, have you ever seen Grumpy Old Men?
Which one?
Grumpy Old Men.
Yes, Grumpy Old Man. Yeah,
Something similar.
yeah.
I love
Walter Matthau.
Yeah.
Yep,
And,
love him.
Jack Lemmon. That's what, you know, two pals that known each other for decades. They hate each other, but they love each other.
You know, it's why they stay home a lot. It's not that we don't like people. It's we'd rather not challenge the issue.
Mm-hmm.
This makes it pleasant for everybody.
Just stay out of Harlem's way, basically. You know,
Yeah.
I think that's the best. But just you were saying earlier one day about, you know, we're enjoying it. We are enjoying it. I know I do get on Sarah and Laura's nerves quite a bit, but I'll let her explain that bit.
You do, because like the film will go out and we'll have it all filmed and stuff. Everything will be going smoothly, and then we'll come back. I'll sit down, upload it all onto my editing software. I'll have it almost completed, just a couple of wee kind of tweaks to do, and then he'll say, "Can we change this?" And it's always something that's either right at the start or it's like smack bang in the middle. And he's like, "Oh, it wouldn't take you long." And I'm like, "Do you know how long it takes to just move one wee 30-second clip along a bit?"
But no doubt you guys, I mean, you've been in the movie business a long time. You know, I'm not talking about your age or anything, but you get tons and tons of experience at, you know, making movies, putting them together, etc. But no doubt you film things, you know, and then you've watched them back and you've thought,
Many times.
change this, could have changed that,
Many times.
or turn it around a wee bit.
Yeah, many times.
You simply have to. Any film that we've made that depending on how the audience views them, that David and I to this day get behind them. The edits, everything. It doesn't matter how long it has taken us to get the end result we desired. We have never compromised. We have never said, well, that's good enough. Let's say our primary editor will send us a rough cut, and I don't pass myself off at all. I never have. That I'm a great editor by any stretch. I'm not. I'm competent enough to be able to accomplish what we have needed, and to be able to communicate with our editor visually what we desire. But David and I have never compromised of what we desire. If they're not able or not willing to accomplish that for us, we'll put bait. Find somebody else who will. And that's that.
We finished a film. And we were having a little private showing of it, just cast and crew of another film we're working on. So we buy a bunch of food, beer, and we're going to have a great time watching this movie. It killed us. I was dying through the whole time. I was like, give me another beer. Bring two right off the top. It was horrible.
It was brutal.
Yeah, it was brutal.
But it was better. It was better to get that when releasing the film. Once the film is released, you can't say just kidding. We're bringing it back. So David and I were both appreciative that they were honest with us, as compared to so many people in this business that will just kiss your ass and say, "Oh, it's wonderful. You're wonderful. Everything is wonderful." When everything sucks, David and I have never responded well to people that blow smoke up our asses. We're too old for that. And if we ask somebody for an opinion, we're very selective who we ask their opinion. But we want a truthful response. And anybody who asks us our opinion, just be careful, because we'll give you our opinion. And some people want a truthful opinion. And when you give it to them, they get upset. And that's why David and I don't have a lot of friends. And we don't give a lot of Christmas cards because people can't handle the truth. As Jack Nicholson said in A Few Good Men. But, I mean, that's just, I don't know. That's just how we roll.
We'll send you a card. Don't worry, we'll send you an Easter card or something. Get one over to you. But I think that it's better that way. You know, you don't want, as you say, people blowing smoke up your ass and that. If you do something and you make a film, you spend X amount of time on it, put it all together. You do want people's opinions, honest opinions. If they don't like it or they think there's something you could have done better in it or changed in it, then you listen to them and you take it on board.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that's one way of how you learn.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. We that film I was talking about, we took a scene from the middle, put it at the beginning, and the film was fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, and the opening that originally written really looked good in the end. But when we put it out there, it was a sleeper, boy. It was a killer.
But
David, Scott, just one second. I have to say this. In defense of ourselves, the opening was still good. It was just different. It was slow, it was nice, it didn't grab you. It just didn't grab you. The opening wasn't stupid. The opening was the way it was written. But then when you saw it, it's like, oh. But like to David's point, and it worked out really well. We moved another church to the beginning, and now we're off and running.
Mm-hmm. But it's like episode 1 of the Wallace Show. We did the original cut, the original filming of it, put it together, and we showed it to you guys, and you guys came up with a suggestion of filming walking over the bridge, which you'd never have thought of, but. When I first saw the first one, I thought, that looks all right. But once obviously I listened to you guys and you made suggestions and what have you, and we went and did it and then put it together again, then you think, that's a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Just
and
if you ask
look at points, look at that for a rough cut sent to us. And look at the quality we're seeing now. Oh my gosh! You took those notes that David and I sent to you, and look at where things are now. We don't really see anything. We'll say, well, we can do good. So, I mean, you guys took our notes to heart and ran with it. So good for you guys.
Thank you. You do need to, if you're going to ask people's opinions, you've got to be ready for what might come back.
Yeah.
You might not like some of it. You might want to punch some people in the face. You might agree with it. It's a mixed bag. But if you're going to present something to somebody, then you're going to be ready. You've got to have that net to catch whatever comes back, and just go with it. You don't send them another Christmas card. That's fine. I
had a director once tell me, you have to have a lot of gall to ask the public to give up some of their lifetime plus money so that you can show them something. So if they don't like you, tough. Yeah. Lump it.
Eat it or chew it, chew it or spit it out. Either way. I'm really happy with the way the Wallace Show's going. And I said to Gordon and David this morning when we met up with them, because you guys know it at first, way back at the start, I didn't have a clue if it was going to work or not. You know, and I said that to society. It might not work. Never know. So this is just an idea I want to try out, and it might fall flat in its face with the first time we do it. And it seems to be kind of
things don't always turn out. We spent about a year ago. Okay, pre-production process, writing, doing all the line production, getting everything in place. And about 6 days before day one of shooting, two of the main components of producers back out. After it's been cast, stuff's been purchased, lines memorized, and we're ready to go. And they just out. And they didn't say a damn thing that justified it. One of them did say, period, shit, not even goodbye. This is gone. This business that we're in, indie filmmaking, is unfortunately full of ne'er-do-wells. People who want to see themselves in the picture. They don't want to do the work. People who are fascinated with photograph, but they don't want to do the work.
They want to skip right to the front line.
And bullshitters who will tell you they can do things. It gets really frustrating. So Craig and I take what we do serious, but we're not serious. We understand what we do. We're not saving the world. We're not reinventing bread. We're just making movies. Period.
I totally agree. You know, I mean, if you're passionate about something, you're spending a lot of time, money on it, etc., then you want people on board that are going to put the legwork in as well, and not just try to jump to the front of the queue, basically. And we're lucky.
Keep your word. Do what you say you're going to do.
Well, that's it. We've got Sarah, we've got Laura, we've got society, we've got you guys, and we couldn't be any more grateful for the help everybody's put.
We love you guys.
And as you say, if you're not wanting to do the legwork, then don't get me wrong. I mean, one issue we have over here, which you guys don't have, is the weather.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
I'm bringing up the weather.
What's that I feel? What was that? Wait a minute.
That you guys will get constant sunshine.
That's good.
And dark. I mean, it's dark about 30 here in the afternoon.
That's funny.
There has been times where everything's been set, we've planned a date, and then you up into that day and it's absolutely pouring down with rain. And you think, right, no game today. We need to make another day. And it's happened 2 or 3 times because the weather sucks. But I think, as you say, you want people on board that are going to do the legwork. They're going to put their fair share in, so that everybody's doing their bit. And we're quite lucky that we've got that. We've got that at hand, basically. You don't want time wasters or people say. We had that before when we did Darkest Mile, did we?
Yeah.
People say we give people, with short strips going to make. Oh, I'll memorise it. No bother. Get it done. We all meet up in Edinburgh and say, right, it's shoot bit. You go, oh, I don't know what I'm saying. See, but I gave you about a month ago. It's like 3 paragraphs. Right, can I just read it? I said, well, how did you not learn it when I gave it to you? Oh, I've not had time.
Editing as well, there was a lot of clips to put together, so there was a few other members that said to me, right, I'll edit this bit together and I'll send you it and you can add it onto yours. And I'm like, right, fine. And it was coming back to me, and it was as if they just put it together, just no transitions or anything. And I'm sitting like,
Oh no!
and they're like, I can edit. I'm a wonderful editor, and I'm like, right, that's fine, great, help me out because I'm just starting. I'm not an expert by far. I do my bit and tried my best at it, but they were like, oh, I know how to do that. I'm an expert. And I'm like, great, and then they send me back like that, and I'm like,
you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
I'm really pleased with we're really pleased with how it's going. As you said way back at the start, as you said, you know, we'd never done it before. We've not been to film school or anything. We just got an idea, you know, took a couple of phones and went and said, right, let's try and see what happens.
Let me caution you on that. That's what happened. That's what happened. That's how I met this guy. And now look. All right, so you be careful about that kind of stuff.
Be careful who you run into.
Laura says, so great for being part of it, and the input from Craig and David. She's so nice. I think the friendship you two guys have got is amazing. And what's his gel? I mean, obviously we've done quite a few shows together now, and you can just see the chemistry between you. I know Craig sometimes gets the raw end of the deal when it comes to parts in films, like hiding in bushes and stuff. But, I still remember that, you know.
That was you, huh?
Yeah. Pops out the bush and stuff. So I feel sorry for him that way, but I know, David, you love him dearly. But just what Laura says, your help is invaluable, and Sarah and I are so grateful to have you on board.
We're here for you,
the Wallace Trail. But I know you're busy, gents. I don't want to hold you. I know you've got the grandkids and that, David. Just one question. You were talking about people giving reviews and stuff a short time ago. I want your guys' review on the Wallace Trail. Honest reviews. Put them in the spot.
Honest review about what now?
Review
on the Wallace Trail and on as a whole so far.
On the documentary?
You did?
So,
on your work, on the 4 episodes you've done?
Aye.
Oh, are you kidding me?
Okay.
From the first one that Greg and I looked at, and this is my opinion, I thought that you developed more richer narrative. Okay. By that I mean this is a building where he once stood. You're talking about the significance of that environment. It becomes fuller. It becomes more pertinent, I think. How we relate to our own humanity, how we relate to our past. So what I see, we've been able to do, and this is why I think it's interesting, is that it's evolving. And we see this trail. I never knew those. I knew some of it. Movie, right? The surface. Not from what you've been doing. You bring a community to it. And I think it's because the content's the content. Anybody can say this is where he was executed. This is where he lived. But how do you bring the humanity to those words? And when I'm listening to it from the first one you did, that's what I see happening. It's becoming more familiar, and more relative to who I am. So I think you've grown it.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Mine is going to be a little bit different than David's. When I first heard about this, I really thought, oh crap. And the reason why, straight up.
No wonder he doesn't get any Christmas cards.
Well, first of all, okay, let's talk about this. David comes from a large family. Okay. I'm an only child. As a single dad, and as we speak right now, I'm unmarried. You connect the dots. I don't think there's any that's a mistake. But in all seriousness, I'm not a big documentary guy. I've never really enjoyed documentaries. I enjoy documentaries like on the Roman Empire, Egypt, things like that. But after a while, I kind of zone out and start getting ready to fall asleep. Okay, so all that said, I like you guys a lot. Liam Wallace. I enjoyed interesting. Well, I went from that. I started watching the episodes twice because I really wanted to get their message, and I found it interesting. I wasn't zoning out. I wasn't falling asleep, even though these were short. It doesn't take me too long before I start like zoning out. But I thought they were really good. You know, we gave you notes on the first. No, I really mean this. So I'm not being a jerk off here. So the first one, we gave you guys a note. You made those corrections. Then like the last two, no, because there's been a total of what? 3 or 4, whatever the total number is. Right now. Whatever the number is. So the last few, I've watched them twice because there's a lot of content, a lot of takes and all this. But I've really enjoyed them. So I think the content is rich. The information is good. It's not so much factual stuff that people zone out. So it's been, and they're shot really nicely. I think you guys have done a really splendid job. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jez. That means a lot coming from you gentlemen, especially, you know, the experience you guys have got behind you as well, got under your belt, but, you know, whatever the saying is. But just what you were saying, Craig, about they're short, that was the other reason they were short, because I'm the same as you at times. I watch quite a lot of documentaries, and after about 30, 35 minutes, you do tend to, your attention starts to stray, you know, and you do, as you say, kind of zone out a wee bit, and you miss bits and pieces of it. And I think if you keep it short, like we're usually between the 15, 20-minute mark, you keep it short, then it holds people more.
It's like bite size.
Bite size. Aye, that's perfect. Aye, but bite size.
It's why the Three Stooges episodes were only 20 minutes.
Aye, look at success.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, you look at the sitcom. Seinfeld with commercials is like 22, 23 running minutes, right? So good point, David.
Because after about 35 minutes, you do tend to, right, you know, start thinking about tomorrow shopping, or if it's going to rain, or, you know, I need to cut that grass or something, you know. Your mind's just start.
Speaking of time, unfortunately, I got something I got to here in about 15 minutes. I got to prepare.
That's fine, buddy. That's fine. We are going to wind it up. We'll wind it up there anyway. So a massive thanks to David and to Craig for coming in, also for their help on the Wallace Trail. Yeah. It's totally, as Laura said, it's totally invaluable. And that's it for tonight, folks. We're back on Sunday with Barry John and a wee special guest with Barry John's pal. But you will be seeing these two gentlemen again. They're on the screen. I still can't do that.
Thank you for being our friend.
I thank you for being our friend, young man. And we shall see everybody on Sunday, and we're going to say good night or good afternoon, whatever it might be. So have fun, folks.
Yes.
Bye. Bye.